welcome to W Rated, the show where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Today you've joined us on one of this year's Road to Razzies mini episodes. This is our annual season of episodes looking at the nomination for the controversial Golden Raspberry Awards 2025. For new listeners, I'm Daisy, and as always, I'm joined by podcast co-creator, host and editor Claire. Claire, would you like to tell us what film we're talking about this episode?
Today we are talking about Borderlands, the 2024 film based on the video game series of the same name. It has 6 nominations at this year's Razzies. We've got Worst Picture, Worst Director for Eli Roth, Worst Actress for Cate Blanchett, 2 Worst Supporting Actors for Jack Black and Kevin Hart, and then Worst Screen Combo, any 2 obnoxious characters, but especially Jack Black. I didn't realise Jack Black was in this until the credits, and was like, oh no, double nom year for Jack Black. He hath fallen. He did Peaches, and then he rejected his Tenacious D brother, and now he hath fallen.
I think this might be karmic retribution of some kind. Can I just say though, because you mentioned the last one was a combo of basically any of the cast, right?
Any 2 obnoxious characters.
Yes. So have we spoken about that just once so far with Unfrosted, or has it been another
I think
one?
So, yeah.
Because this is a bit of a pattern this year in terms of them just saying, "Hey, anyone in this film or anyone in that film."
So, in fairness, I think it's more worst ensemble, because technically combo doesn't mean pair. Combo is a combination. So I think this year it's almost the worst ensemble award,
which in a way is like already reflected in the fact that they've nommed all of the actors and actresses anyway. But fair enough. We're not expecting the Razzies categories. I mean, if we're talking about category fraud in the last place in the last episode about Golden Globes or wherever it was, then we can't expect the Razzies to be perfect. Have you played Borderlands before?
No, I'd never even heard of it until the trailer for this film came on in the cinema, and I was like, well, fuck is that?
So you didn't have any kind of clue of what the vibe was, what the tone was?
Literally no context other than a couple of the really weird posters and a really bad trailer.
So I have very briefly played some of Borderlands 2, I think. It was at a time where I really, really wanted to play games, and I think my ex-boyfriend had a console and a PC and all of this, and very much just probably classic me was just like, oh no, I can't do something perfectly on the first go, so I won't learn and get better at it. But I did have an Xbox One where it came out and I got Borderlands, and it was one of those ones where I actually felt like I could have carried on with it. It's got a very unique, which has probably been repeated quite a lot in the video game world now. I don't know how unique it was at the time, but sort of tone and humour. But if anyone's even played a minute of it from the beginning, they'll recognise who Claptrap is. So Claptrap's sort of with you from the beginning, kind of helps you a little bit in the start of the tutorials and things like that.
He reminded me of, is it Clippy? The little paperclip from back in the day?
Yeah. Oh, I never thought about it like that. That's exactly what he's like. But what I will say, and people might disagree with me, from what I've played of Borderlands, which is pretty much all Claptrap because I didn't really get very far, I think Jack Black did a really good job, but then again, it's like he did a good job of copying the guy.
I did think it was weird to bother voicing Jack Black, because Jack Black has a really unique voice, and I thought it was very good in the Mario movie, but he also was just a little bit doing Jack Black rather than Bowser. So it was nice in this that he was doing a different voice, but then at the same time I was like, did it need to be Jack Black? Like, because it wasn't Jack Black's voice, it did sound like he just... I didn't feel like he was putting on a voice. I felt like he was digitally altered.
Yes, I think for me that's what it sounded like, because the digital alteration felt really close to Claptrap. Yeah. And then when you listened closer, you could hear Jack Black underneath, but it was almost like there was 2 channels.
Overlaid.
It was almost like Jack Black and then the overlay of Claptrap that they were running at the same time. And I don't know, like, considering they paid Jack Black and he's had his name on the poster, I think that was the way to please everybody, because it was like, hey, we've paid Jack Black. Jack Black's the name that's going to draw people in for people who don't know Borderlands, but he's still doing a homage to original Claptrap voice, but I think it's in one of the other languages, and I can't remember which one it is. I think it's in one of the European languages. They did have the actual Claptrap voice actor, so I wonder if he is not an original English speaker.
Maybe. I mean, it's the thing of like, what I really respect the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, they obviously got Ben something, to do the voice of Sonic. And yes, Ben Schwartz. And he's totally fine. He just sounds like him, but it works for Sonic. But I really respected that they got the voice of Tails to be Tails. I think it's Colleen Shaughnessy or O'Shaughnessy or something like that. That like has always been the voice of Tails. And they were like, do you know what? She's been the voice of Tails in the games, the cartoons, the TV show. Let's get her back from the movie. And I'm
so
like, yeah,
different
she is Tails.
Sonics and Knuckleses and things like that.
Yeah,
whereas, yeah, that's fair enough.
They did stunt casting, so Knuckles is Idris Elba, but they were like, no, Tails is Tails.
I did like...
I think he's great. I think he's great. But I think that's the thing of, like, I don't know why they didn't, especially if for certain dubbing they had the original Claptrap.
That's what I mean.
I don't know why
I think they were trying to bring people
get that
in.
Jack Black money.
And this kind of goes, we're already talking in quite specifics, but just to bring it back to the film generally, I think they knew that they had a stinker on their hands pretty much, because there was reshoots from Eli Roth, but Eli Roth wasn't, like, without him after he'd finished, but then I've heard, but he wasn't even the original director. There was a different script, which when he got brought in as director, he changed. So apparently there was reshoots like really close to the release, but I don't, again, with a pinch of salt, I'm not sure how much that's actually true versus just kind of pickups with the main cast. But I do think it had a bit of production hell. That
I'm just looking to see, have I ever watched an Eli Roth film, and the only one I have ever seen, I watched very recently. I watched the 2002 Cabin Fever with my man friend, and we both thought it was one of the worst things we'd ever seen. And we had previously watched the really famous one, the really famous cabin movie.
The Evil Dead?
Yes, so we had watched Evil Dead, and he'd hated Evil Dead, and then we watched Cabin Fever, and he went back and retroactively hired his score for Night of the Dead or whatever it's called, Evil Dead, because he was like, okay, actually no, this is a bad film. But yeah, so this is only my second Eli Roth film, not...
I wasn't 100% sure on what he directed, because he's an actor as well, isn't he? So I've seen him in things.
He did Hostel, which is what he got mad famous for.
I'd never seen it.
And I decided they weren't for me.
Fair enough.
I do not like torture porn, and they are peak torture porn. Just don't need that in my life.
I did, funnily enough, Green Inferno, I actually did the home end PR for that. Because I remember, I think this might have actually been it. I had the wonderful job, and I say wonderful non-sarcastically, by the way. I got to pick timestamps for clips from the film for us
always wanted to do that.
Post on social. Annoyingly, I wasn't allowed to just sit there and watch the whole film. I did have to skip through. So once you've done that, you're a bit like, I don't really want to watch. And I never got around to watching it again. But the original Green Inferno is like meant to be really, really, really hardcore. And then I can see Knock Knock, which is like the most infamous trailer ever.
Was it?
Well, it's Anna de Armas and another girl, and there's hot girls making out in it with Keanu Reeves. So it stuck in people's head. But I don't think it's a very good film.
Okay.
And then I did not realise he'd done House with a Clock in Its Walls.
Which wasn't that kids' film?
That's a random kids' film. And then he did...
With Jack Black and Kate Blanchett.
Oh, it's with Kate Blanchett as well. There you go. And then he did Thanksgiving a couple of years ago.
Which was meant to be decent, actually. That was meant to be a very stupid but fun slasher.
I think if he's in his lane and that's what he's going for. But yeah, I can see why they would want someone like him to do this, because this is meant to be a mature... a bit grotesque, a bit close to the line sort of stuff, but they PG-13'd it. And I was
going to say, it felt very tame. Very tame.
They tried to familyify it, and it just didn't work because of that, I don't think. So, and I'm pretty sure as well, the idea for a Borderlands film has been around for like 10, 15 years. There was even I read
because the first game came out in 2009.
I read I say not 15 years then, but 15 years ago, 2010. So I read in a review that there's even a joke in Borderlands 2 about someone making a Borderlands movie. So it's like been, and do you know who was attached to this to begin with? Craig Mattson, as in Chernobyl and Last of Us. So we could have had a very, very good screenplay.
Yeah.
They just clearly went in a very, very different direction.
The reshoots were done by the director of Deadpool.
Oh, Tim Miller.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a hodgepodge of too many different kinds of visions where I don't know how much they would have kept from Craig Mattson, but that's a very different style of screenwriting. And then you've got Eli Roth coming in screenwriting and directing, and then reshoots by the Deadpool director. It's just like all of those things aren't inherently bad, but if they're not cohesive, I would say.
I'd almost guess that one of his reshoots would be the Kevin Hart finale, where Kevin Hart is in the lift shaft and gets attacked by everyone. I would almost bet that fight scene was directed by Tim Miller.
I can't even remember it. Why specifically?
It's him, so they've all left, and it's Kevin Hart basically sacrificing himself, and it's just him going after, like, brute after brute after brute.
Oh, sure.
Very Deadpool.
Right. Yeah, I can see the Deadpool influences on this. But
I'd also love to know at what point did Kate Blanchett get involved, and to the point that then she couldn't leave. Apologies. At what point was she signed up to the contract? Because did she sign up when Eli Roth was already involved, or did she sign up when the Chernobyl guy was involved? Because I'd love to see when did she. I mean, it's an odd one. I don't think, like, looking at the nominations, I think, like, Claptrap was really annoying, but I get the impression that is that character, so it's not Jack Black's fault. That's that character.
He's supposed to be, but I did read in a review someone saying that it's really difficult if someone comes in. The way that he works in a video game is potentially very different to how he works in a film, in that, yes, he's supposed to be annoying, but he's supposed to help you. He helps you in the video game. So there's this, you become the person that's relying on this annoying thing. You build a relationship with it. Whereas when you're just watching it,
and you didn't really see her build that relationship with him either. That element was missing. He does give her the missing pieces, but you never see him actually care for him.
And because the humour has to be tamer, it becomes more like fart joke humour versus maybe him swearing or saying things out of line and stuff like that, which I can't specifically remember from the game, but I'm pretty sure from the reviews I've read that was the case. So I think a lot of this is you're setting yourself up for a huge fall if you do a video game adaptation, especially if it's a well-loved video game, especially if that video game's got very, very specific idiosyncrasies that you then ignore. And you basically forego all of that for I think this is even a new story, potentially. It's not based on any of the games.
Because it did feel to me like it could easily have been the mission of the first video game. Like, I felt as it was going along, I was like, I can almost see how you'd be set tasks, and like, because the whole, not to spoil it, but the whole red herring thing about who is the chosen one and who is the thing, I was like, I can imagine in the video game that would be really interesting, because like, would you be piecing it together and finding clues? Because I guessed that twist within the first 20 minutes. But
well done.
I was just like, okay, so I can see where we're going here. And so then when it happened, I was like, oh wow. But I was like, I wonder how exciting that must have been in the video game, because you must have been like gaining powers and doing things and being like, I didn't know I could do that, and learning with the character. And I was like, that must be quite cool. But so if it's not part of the story, that's a shame.
What I can gather, I've seen a few Reddit posts, I'm just looking now, that say from a year ago, the movie's not being a full retelling of the game stories is fine. Like, I know that Tiny Tina is a character because she's got a spin-off, which is a different kind of game. And I'm pretty sure all of the characters are characters, but I don't know how close to, I should have looked this up really, how close it is to the actual plot, because I think that's the problem with video games, is that they want to take the world and they want to do a different story, but the story is never good as the game, so why?
And it's also, the problem is that they don't translate either, because the games are so like action orientated. Like, even like, I have been rewatching the original Pokemon anime series over the last week, whilst also playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, which is basically the first Pokemon game. And it's like really annoying watching the anime, because I'm like, well, you can't battle like that. That's not how the battle rules work. But I'm like, oh, how boring would this TV show be if they followed the exact mechanics of the game? And because the game is rewarding, because it's skill based and you escalate, you can't do that in a TV show. You can't be like, you've now gained X amount of power.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's really interesting that Craig Mathison was involved in this, because I listened to the podcast that HBO released with him and the creator of Last of Us, and he was talking about one instance, and I think we've talked about it because we've done a few video game adaptations now.
There were quite a few last year, I think.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about with all of the Uwe Boll ones as well, in that it was really interesting how he spoke about how he worked to translate because Last of Us is one of the best video game plots. Like, that's critically, you know.
Yeah. It was kind of the first time people who aren't video, like myself included, I'm not a video gamer, but we all stood up and kind of went, oh wow, you can do a full narrative, not just a bit of narrative, like a full narrative arc in a game. And I'm sure other people had done it and have done it since, but it was the first time that I think people stood up and were like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, that's the narrative, and the way you experience it is through the game, not the other way around. But the point is that at the beginning you're walking through as it would help if I remembered his bloody name. Why can I not remember his name? Oh my god. Why can I not remember his
I've not seen it, so I can't help you. I've neither watched it nor played it.
Oh my god. Joel. God.
Yes.
Terrible. You're walking through as Joel, and the way that you experience your surroundings in the game is to get you in the character of feeling what this world is like. But Craig said that if they were to translate that straight to TV, it would make you feel like they don't want you to feel like so depressed straight away. They want you to be in the world. The way that you can show things in a video game and experience them in a video game is very different to how if they're shown on the TV screen, like psychologically. So he had to like tone down some of the violence, whereas when you're like walking through in a game, you see it in your periphery. It's very different to if you're seeing it. So like that just said to me, that is someone who knows what they're doing. And so it's a shame that could have been what could have been for this as well. Even if it's a very different tone.
But like Last of Us is still, it's been 2 years since it came out, and it's still getting so much praise. But it would have been interesting if could he have done it twice? Could he have done it with a different game? But I can also understand, I don't know why he left the project, but I can understand not wanting to do 2 video game adaptations in a row.
Yeah, and like you say, I don't know how, like, at what stage in this was everyone attached to it. So I'm trying to find. So Kate Blanchett was cast as Lilith in May 2020, and she quoted that the gunslinger stuff was so much fun. I got really absorbed in that whole world. I think there may also have been a little COVID madness. So she just wanted something new to do, I think.
And that's absolutely, like, Kate Blanchett, like, she is nommed here as Worst Actress. I don't think it's a good film, and I don't think it's a good role, but none of that's her fault, and I think she gives it her all, and I think she is good in it.
I think it's something different for her. I quite enjoyed it.
That's it. I can absolutely see why she wanted to, especially I imagine she was doing this around the same time she was preparing for Tar. So what a thing to counterbalance the intensity and miserableness and isolation of Tar with something crazy and fun like this. And like, good for her for trying something different, and I'll watch her in anything. But it was nice to see her have a bit of fun. Like, I still love her in Ocean's 8. I know that everyone hates Ocean's 8 but me. But because again, she gets to be modern, she gets to be silly, she gets to be mean. I'm like, I like it.
I really liked, and I don't know again, I say I've played it a little bit, so I know the vibe of it. I don't know the complete lore of Borderlands, but I'm assuming Lilith is a character in the game. I'm not sure how old she is in the game, but I really like that
she did seem very miscast in terms of age, because I was like, I don't know what the age difference with Jamie Lee Curtis and her.
Yeah.
I would have put them in similar generations, which might be completely wrong, because I do think Cate Blanchett has always looked older than she is.
I see.
But yeah, let me have a quick.
She's born in 69.
So she's 55. And then how old is Jamie Lee Curtis? She is 66. So there is 11 years.
Right.
Yeah. So actually, I guess
there is a world in which she was her mum's friend because they worked together. But I think I'm not sure how old the character she was meant to be playing is. But I liked that she was an older woman doing that role. It felt fresh. Like, it felt like, I just thought good for her, like, coming into, and she had that kind of snarky kind of, it wasn't the best role in the world, but I think she lent into it, and it was something that I haven't seen her do before, but it didn't feel too off either. Yeah. So I think people are going to vote for her in this for their reasons, and I get it, but I don't think
that's it. It's the same. To be honest, like, Kevin Hart's pretty bad in it, but again, I'm like, I would blame that on script and direction and not Kevin Hart, because I'm like, what was he given to work with?
I just felt like his role was so bland.
That's what I mean, and I actually don't think it's anything against his acting abilities. He was told to stand and posture and then sacrifice himself, and you couldn't even really feel sad when he did sacrifice himself. Again, spoilers, apologies. But like, he didn't have anything to do, and it was a very 2D thin part, and they all were, to be honest, they all felt really basic. I know I felt like that was a script problem and not an acting problem,
and probably just a way that everything ended up being cut up. I feel like scenes of his were missing, like character building scenes. And
I'd be really interested in, I've forgotten the name of the actress who played Tiny Tina, but I've seen her in a few things, and she's not
black.
Yeah, she's from Barbie, but she's also been in a few other things, and she's not a bad actress, but I thought she was terrible in this, and I do wonder if her character was meant to be more like, is it Hit Girl in Kick-Ass? That smarmy, sarky, but because, Chloe Grace Moretz is amazing in that role anyway, but also she's given full reign to swear and be rude and kick and scream and be vulgar, whereas in this, I don't think Greenblatt was given any opportunity because it had to be PG-13, and she just comes across as petulant.
Yeah. Let me just quickly ask Stephen what Tiny Tina's like, because he played the spin-off that's that's like a multiplayer game. He doesn't like Borderlands, but
a few moments later.
Yeah, he said she's just like really hyper and chatty, and she swears and everything. So I think, unfortunately, it was just this case with the claptrap thing again, where this world is like meant to be really hyper and like obnoxious, and the jokes are offensive at times, and it's supposed to be a little bit like edgelordy kind of thing, but they weren't given the space to do that. So I think everyone just comes off as annoying.
You almost want it to be a bit like Harley Quinn. But she's not got the room to do any of that. So she does come across as like very irritating and petulant. And even the whole thing again of the twist, she seems really sulky that like, I wanted to be the chosen one, and it's a bit like...
But I did think that that's what she was like in the games, from what I can understand, because I think she's not the villain necessarily. Everyone's going to be like tweeting, being like, "Oh, don't worry." I feel like you play like against her in her spin-off sort of thing, like because she's got all the grenades and everything.
Yeah.
So I think she's supposed to be a little bit of a not an anti-hero, but like a bit of a annoying adversary kind of. She's not supposed to be the hero or whatever, but it's interesting. I should have looked it up before. I'm going to have to look up after how much this plot is related to the actual game, because I do think that that's where a lot of these adaptions fall down, and that why, if you're going to adapt a game that's loved because of its, I don't want to say plot specifically for this, but it's its whole world. It's not just, people love games just because they look good. They love games because they like the way they look, they like the gameplay, and they like the narrative that you go along with. So you can't just like take one and like the gameplay has to translate to the production somehow.
Yeah.
But you can't just take what it looks like and not translate the narrative and just this could have been any plot realistically, right? Set in like a sci-fi kind of other world that isn't ours. Like it was very, very basic. I personally really liked what it looked like. I think it did capture a little bit of the Borderlands type thing, but I think they relied way too heavily on that, and they didn't really have enough of its character. Really.
So it does seem quite different. I've just done a quick search, and Tiny Tina doesn't even come into it until the second game, so that's a complete change up. She's also not a clone. She's not anything to do with Atlas. Lilith has completely different powers, but also always knows that she has powers. So, like, her abilities aren't a secret, and a few different things like that. So it kind of sounds like they cherry-picked all the different bits from the different games they liked and mushed it together to make something new.
And I don't know how often that works. It feels like not very often.
Not very often, no. I mean, it does just sound like a bit of a mess because, like the stunt coordinator said they'd done loads more stuff that all got cut out because they're like, oh, well, kids love this game, so we want to get their money. But it's like, kids love this game because it's violent. Yeah, and they're not supposed to be playing it.
Yeah. And also, those kids aren't kids anymore. Because this is like a 15-year-old franchise from the very first one.
So even a 10-year-old who shouldn't have been playing it would now be 25.
So it's... Yeah, they've just completely missed the point of this, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because it's been in development for so long, if they were at this point where they were like, just get it out. Just get it out. Get it out so we can move on.
I think it was probably the case of they realised it wasn't very good. So they were like, right, how can we make our money? Let's make it PG-13, like what they did with Rollerball. Just, we've made a mid-film. How can we maximise money? Get it out to kids.
Right. So they've kind of tried that kids maybe do know the Borderlands franchise IP, and they know that, like, I wouldn't say it's like front of mind for, I mean, I'm not obviously a kid, but for me it's a bygone game franchise.
Yeah.
So, but I guess, with the trailer and what they were doing there, they've just tried to capture attentions that way. So,
I will say the Razzies don't do like below the line awards, like, or whatever it's called, for like sound and costume and stuff. Just this should win every Razzie for appalling hair, makeup and costume. Just the wigs, some of the most egregious wigs I've seen in the last year.
Do you not think that they were trying to make it look like cartoony though, in terms, because have you seen the design style of the games?
But they looked like cosplay.
Right.
They looked like cosplay. Like, I felt like they were wearing costumes rather than in costume, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's got something to do with, like, you can make something cheap look good if you know how to light it and shoot it properly. So, pretty sure there was some moments where, like, there was a green screen. I think it was when Tina was, like, at the top, when she first meets Lilith, and she just that is not a blue sky behind her.
Yeah.
You know, all those. But then other bits I did enjoy. I think it was visually appealing to me and other bits, but
I found it pretty, to be honest, inoffensive, which I think is absolutely what they were going for by the time they'd edited it. Like, I don't watch a lot of films like this, so I was like, I can't tell you if this is the best of this kind of film or the worst of this kind of film. It just felt completely fine and inoffensive. I guessed where it was going, but I found it decent enough because it had a decent enough cast and it kept me engaged just enough. So yeah, I just found it, like, it's that thing of, I feel like if this had come out in 2003 or 2004, or even just a year or two after the game came out, because what was it, 2009, you'd be like, oh, flawed, but they tried. But we've almost now, with the MCU, with so many successful video game adaptations of other things, we've been a bit spoiled. And I think people talk a lot online now, and I think it will continue when you look back at film history in like 10 and 20 years. It's not just post-MCU, but post-Endgame. People now want every film to be Infinity War and Endgame, and they forget that was 15 years in the making. That was billions of dollars in the making. You literally can't do that with every film, and MCU have suffered the most for that. But I think all of these kind of wacky, adventure-y video game, comic book game, all of those things suffer post-Endgame because everyone wants every single thing to be Endgame, and that's just it's not feasible.
I just think that I'm kind of sick of people trying to do that. Like, surely that's where people are right now. So it's almost like I kind of like that this was a bit cheaper. It's just, it has a bit more texture to it. Yeah. You know, they've clearly not spent a bajillion on effects and stuff, but it felt smaller scale. So it's like, how much of that do you take as something that's like something just different, breaking away from the CGI sludge of trying to make spending billions of dollars on CGI when you don't need it, versus, but is it good? It's like, you know, it's like, you can be cheap. Cheap doesn't mean bad. Like cheaper, big budget, whatever, doesn't mean bad. But it depends how you execute it. Yeah. And I didn't necessarily think that this was super, super bad, but there were moments where the CGI was like, oh, and it just felt a bit small scale, you know, you're trying to set up this huge universe. Yeah. And there was a few... It
felt outdated to me already. Considering it's only been out less than a year, it felt already outdated.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It feels like it's had its time, really.
Yeah. But I think that is the case, and it's interesting to see where they go with it, because we've got the Minecraft movie coming out in a month or two.
That's what I mean. It's just like, what decade are we in?
But everyone's trying everything. We're post-IP chaos.
People do still play Minecraft, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, Mr. Next Door bloody gave himself a back injury from playing it so much in COVID.
Oh my God, of course he did.
Genuinely, he has to see an osteopath now because of Minecraft.
Oh my God. But I would argue that was probably built up from when Minecraft was super popular, you know, like 10, 15 years ago. You've definitely got new people coming and playing it, but the sense of... Sorry, but when I think of the 2010s, if we're going to be talking about gaming, it's these kinds of games. Doesn't mean they're not still popular, but it's an embodiment of where video games were at that moment, and it just feels like they are clutching at straws, trying to get there's more IP going, oh yeah, you know, people loved this then, can we...
I feel like everyone's trying to recapture the magic of the Lego movie. But even the Lego Movie can do that. As a Lego Movie 2 strong defender, I fucking adore the Lego Movie 2. I think it's as good as the first one. I love it.
I don't know if I've seen it.
It did really badly commercially and critically, but I love it. But like, even the Lego Movie creators could not capture the Lego Movie again. But I feel like everyone since that movie came out like 15 years ago has just been desperately trying to recapture that magic. It was a little bit less.
11, but still, Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is another one in the just doesn't work for video game adaptations. And I think it feels like the movie makers need to kind of have a little bit of a let's just refresh this whole video game adaptation thing.
I think it's because for every 10, 9 do terribly, but then one like Sonic or Mario gets through. That then they're like, okay, that will like...
They're not thinking about what actually makes them work.
Yeah. The Mario movie was one of the most successful movies of the last like 10 years, I think. Like, it made like insane money. So now they're all like, back to video game movies.
And it's like... because they're thinking of bums in seats. They're thinking, what gets... And that's Sonic and Mario 100% would have been these ones where it's like, how do we get people watching like recognisable IP? But they stay because they don't care about the staying. They don't care about home ent anymore. So they're not caring about rewatches. They just care how many tickets they can sell first off, and that's it.
And the thing as well, like Sonic and Mario are literally two of the most iconic video game characters of all time. Like,
Literally.
they were iconic when I was 4. I'm now 35, and they are still... Sonic maybe a bit less, but he's come back around again, but they are still pretty iconic. Most children in the world know one, if not both of them.
Yeah.
They were literally the figureheads of their companies for 20 years. Borderlands is a random one-off game. I know there's a few now, but you know what I mean? It doesn't have the same resolution and staying
You can
power.
use the IP, but you need to recapture what people like about that. And I think there's not to say that you can't bring people up and bring new watchers in, but the way you bring new watchers in is by making a good film that gets word of mouth.
Like The Last of Us. There's so many of my friends watch The Last of Us who would never play the game.
There's so many would never even heard it was a game. They just sort of heard that it's really good. Oh, apparently it's a really good game. And, you know, hopefully some of those people then go and play that game. I just think that they just think that IP is enough and they don't need to make a good film. And that's not to say that this is the worst of those, but it's an example of just them just being a bit late, not really thinking. It feels part of a strategy versus... we want to make this specifically.
And also I do wonder if it's a bit of they paid for the rights and they were like, we paid so much for the rights of this, and we put so much money into it already, just get it out. But I think it's very interesting what I'd be interested to know contractually, like a film like this, because was this Warner Brothers? No. Who made this?
I don't think so.
No, I'm just thinking, no, it's Lionsgate. But I was just thinking of, like, Warner Brothers specifically, like, how many films they shelved for tax reasons, and how a film like this doesn't get shelved for tax reasons, because I feel like this would have been an amazing tax write-off. But
oh my God, put it on the poster.
But I don't think, I think Warner Brothers are kind of the main ones that do that.
They're awful. I'll never forgive them for...
Acme.
Yeah. And neither will Forte, apparently. Too right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so of was it 6 nominations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 included both actors. Worst picture, I would say, based on the ones I've watched so far, no. And it would be mid to low on my 2024 rankings if I'd have watched it last year, but it definitely wouldn't be my worst. It didn't make me angry when I was watching it. And there were some films I watched last year that did make me angry. So
there's none of these on the worst picture that I actively hated.
Yeah. Worst director, it is quite badly directed. So
he hasn't really been able to draw out.
Yeah.
With all the puzzle pieces that he's got, he could have got something at least that was a bit more enjoyable, and it's just not.
Worst actress, Cate Blanchett. No, not slander. Worst supporting actor, Jack Black. No, I think again script. Kevin Hart for me, definitely not. He's just underserved by script.
Agreed.
And then worst screen combo.
Any characters?
It wasn't the greatest ensemble. I did feel, to be honest, do you know who I thought was the worst in this? Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I just didn't know what she was doing half the time. But then again, I thought she was very good in Everything Everywhere All at Once, but she didn't deserve an Oscar. She was a million years away from deserving that Oscar. Yeah. Stephanie Wong should have won that Oscar for that movie for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. I think I have to probably agree with this, because if the whole purpose of this is combo, so we've got to think about chemistry, and I just don't think
none of them had any chemistry. I felt like they were all in different movies. Yeah, agreed. They were all giving a different vibe. Okay.
Cool.
It did win a Golden Trailer Award for the Best Motion Title Graphics in a Trailer. So well done then.
Good for those people.
And it also won a Costume Designers... It got nominated for the Costume Designers Guild's Award for Excellence in Sci-Fi and Fantasy Film. And Costume Designer Guild Awards, What Is Wrong With You All?
I was about to say, I can tell Claire does not agree with that.
I just need to look at who else they nominated that year, because I'm just horrified. Very quickly. So it was up against Wicked, Beetlejuice, Borderlands, Dune Part 2 and Furiosa. How did this get?
Wait, so it won?
No, it was nominated. It was not, but even to get a nomination. Like, the costumes from Dune Part 2, stunning. Costumes from Beetlejuice, pretty damn good.
I agree, yeah.
I didn't see Furiosa.
No, they were good.
Wicked won, and deservingly so. The costumes in Wicked are stunning, just for Glinda alone. But how did this get nominated? Atrocious behaviour. Just insane. Last year, Barbie won, so well done, Barbie. And I think that's that. Well done, Barbie. Well done, Ariana Greenblatt, for Barbie, and not this.